Freckles and Blondie, your, oh my god, can you please take a week off from fighting about Jack weekly Lost podcast. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randy.
And today we are discussing Hurley in episode 204, Everybody Hates Hugo. This episode aired October 12th, 2005. Look, Randy, I remembered the date.
Up front, too. I'm so proud, Tiffany.
Thanks. I knew you would really be proud of me. It was directed by Alan Taylor and written by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. Mm-hmm. They previously wrote Born to Run, and apparently the two of them were a consistent writing team, like, throughout their entire careers. Like, so for the most part, on whatever show they worked on, they only wrote together. So they're just like a duo.
Yeah, they're the duo who writes and creates Once Upon a Time, right?
Are they? I didn't know.
They are. It's the same duo. And that's why I've only seen a handful of episodes of that show, but I've seen interviews with them at like Comic-Con where people are asking them about, because apparently they put lots of Lost like references throughout Once Upon a Time.
Yes, they did.
And there's lots of like crossover actors. And
yeah, I watched like the first 3 seasons of Once Upon a Time. And I think it was the 3rd season. I was just really not into it. I was just hanging in there because I was like, well, it's the Lost people. I'll probably like this eventually.
Yeah.
But I just dropped out eventually. Even though everyone told me I dropped out right before it got good. So, a little disappointing. But yeah, there were tons of Lost references, at least in season 1.
Were there?
And that was fun. And definitely a lot of Lost actors, including Jorge Garcia. He did an episode, at least one episode, that I remember.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that too.
He was like the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk.
Uh-huh.
Which is so perfect.
It is perfect for him.
But yeah, I did not know that they like only wrote together. I'd never really paid attention. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like you don't see that too often. And yeah, when, because I guess this is only the 2nd episode where they've written. And when I was looking at the list of every Lost episode they've written, it's quite lengthy.
It is. I was looking at that too. They write a ton in the future.
Yeah, they do.
Pretty crazy. I kind of went down like the writer's rabbit hole when I was researching this episode.
Uh-huh.
And cause I had this like nagging thought while I was watching. I was like, what are all the girls doing? Cause I feel like we spent 0 time with like the women on this island.
Okay.
And so I was like, what's going on with them? And it just was noticeable in this episode that we spent so little time with them. And so I was like, are any of the writers women? And so I had to go look that up. And there aren't very many writers who write this show, like, at all. So, in season 1, there were 4 episodes that had any women who contributed to them at all, like, as far as writing. And, so none of those writers from season 1 returned for season 2. Mm-hmm. And in season 2, we have Elizabeth Sarnoff, who writes or co-writes 4 episodes. And Christina Kim will co-write 3 with Elizabeth. And then there's one other woman who writes 1 episode. She co-writes it with someone else. So 5 out of the 24 episodes, none of which we've gotten to yet, have like any women influencing the writing at all. So I'm not saying that to like disparage Lost for anything. I know it sounds like that, but that's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming from I don't know. That's always the perspective I feel like I miss from this show. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it kind of explains that. Like, it just maybe isn't as natural for the men writing this show to give us the stories of what's going on with the women. You know, other than Kate. Like, we've always kind of got Kate floating around.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's disappointing, but not at all surprising.
Yeah. You can tell. I feel like you can really tell with this show especially. Like, we have, like, most of our characters are men. Our time is spent very predominantly with the men. And it's still a great show, and, like, I wouldn't change it, but I feel like it would have been a different show if we'd had, like, more female writers.
Yeah, and, like, not to get political, but, I mean, that's this whole problem with men in Hollywood and just with every industry, really. That's a big kind of deal right now. So, yeah, I mean, just women, of course, just don't get those opportunities as much as men, especially back in, 2005 wasn't that long ago, but, you know.
Right. Yeah, and maybe that's why it was on my mind. And, in this episode, we get, this tiny, tiny little sub-story with Sun and Claire and Shannon, and it's just practically non-existent, and I just feel like they deserve a little more of our time than they ever get. Especially Sun, she's going through something real in this episode, and we just, she gets no time. We get no space for that. And, I love Hurley's story, but we get it. And we spend a lot of time with him and with Charlie, and these are all good things too, but there was room in this episode to give them a little more.
Yeah, and it's also this is the 4th episode of season 2. First episode was about Jack, and then it was about Michael, and then it was about Locke, and now it's about Hurley. So yeah, it's 4 episodes in, we haven't really focused on any of the women characters at all, so.
Yeah, you can just kind of tell that Claire and Shannon and Sun are just falling lower on the totem pole of priorities.
Yeah.
And, they kind of seemed like they could be really important in season 1. And this isn't something I feel like is going to really change in the future. Maybe a little bit for some of them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't really remember how some of it plays out, but...
Yeah. We will see. So sorry for that side note. I don't even know how that happened. I just started falling down the rabbit hole, and I just couldn't stop researching and seeing what was going on.
No, it's interesting. Definitely.
So how did you like this episode overall?
I really, really like this episode. I remember always liking this episode. It's a Hurley episode, and I can't really remember an episode about Hurley that I don't like. Mm-hmm. And especially after all the intense drama of last week, which I really enjoyed, but I feel like this was a nice kind of refreshing, lighter episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Hurley episodes always kind of do that.
Yeah.
They give you a little breath. Mm-hmm. And you can just kind of process what's been going on when you spend time with Hurley.
Yeah.
I feel like the plot is not going to make any great leaps when we spend time with Hurley. It's usually, he is not going to be the big plot mover. He just kind of, I guess what I said earlier, he helps you process what is happening.
Right. He's the kind of the way the audience, he represents the audience in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. But I like this episode a lot. It's fun, and even though it's kind of light, I feel like it does still have a good message or theme.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Cool. Well, then let's talk about it.
Okay, let's do it.
Previously on Lost, people put their messages in a bottle for the raft crew to deliver to families. But, of course, Locke had no message because Dude's life is a Greek tragedy. Sawyer, Michael, and Jen are trapped in a hole, and Ana Lucia has their gun. We open in the hatch, more specifically in the hatch pantry, where Hurley is having the best day of his life. He rips through candy bars, chips, milk, and even a gourmet steak dinner, when suddenly Jen appears, speaking English. Perfect English. But no, actually, Jen tells Hurley that he's the one who's speaking Korean. And suddenly, a man dressed in a chicken suit is standing beside Jen, and Hurley asks what he's doing there. We hear the beeping of the computer, and Jen says everything is going to change soon. Hurley wakes from his dream to enter the numbers into the computer. Apparently there's a shift rotation going on for the button, and Kate is excited that everyone has jobs to do, but Hurley is not so sure. So, yeah, that's a fun opening scene.
Yeah, few people could be so charming while just shoveling their face full of food. So.
It's true.
It's great.
And it's the proper reaction of anyone who has been living on a deserted island to go absolutely crazy when you see food everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. That's a a Saturday to me when it's like 3 p.m. and I haven't eaten all day. So I can't imagine what I would be like if I had been living on an island for 2 or 3 months.
Right? Yeah, I'd definitely be stashing away a candy bar.
Yeah.
So what do you make of this dream? Like, what is up with Jen? Jen is the part that I don't understand.
I mean, I don't really know if I make anything of this dream. To me, it's just such a good representation of what dreams are, which is like complete and total nonsense.
Yeah.
Cause like, I don't remember any of my dreams. I remember them like half an hour after I'm awake and then they're gone. But they all, I feel like I've had so many where I wake up and I'm like, that was really weird and disturbing. And then it's gone. I mean, this is Lost, so I'm sure I don't know what Jen's part could mean. I'm sure it means something significant. But to me, it was just like, oh, it was just a random dream he had.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe it is because it's Lost. I'm like, it has to mean something.
Yeah.
And then it's also the fact that Jen tells him that everything's going to change soon.
Right.
It just seems so, like, acute, you know? Like, purposeful. But I don't know. That's also Hurley's fear right now, is that everything's going to change soon.
Right. So yeah, it definitely correlates with what he's feeling personally.
Right.
But I'm also wondering, I mean, I guess they kind of need Hurley to be in the hatch for this episode, but I don't really know why he's agreed to hatch duty. I mean, he's the one who knows about these cursed numbers, who was freaking out when they were blowing up the hatch, you know, when Locke put them in the first time. So it's like, why are you there, Hurley? Why are you contributing to this? I thought these numbers, you know, really kind of messed you up, but...
Right. Yeah, I had that same kind of thought, like, about most of this episode, actually.
Okay.
That, like, plot-wise, this, you know, none of this really needs to happen, but because it's telling this story with Hurley, we're like doing some stuff that doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, Hurley does not need to be the one in charge of food. And he's probably like the last person that they would ask to be in charge of food. It's just like, for this story, it's the best choice.
I don't think so.
No?
I think Hurley's like the go-to guy. Like, he's the one who went around and asked everyone about their names on the manifest. It's like Rose says, like, you're about the only person on this island who no one has a problem with. So, as something as controversial as, like, all this food they have down there, I feel like he'd be kind of the best person.
I guess I just feel like a lot of them don't have jobs. And why was Hurley given this when he, like, wants nothing to do with it? What job is Kate doing right now? What job is Jack doing? What job is anyone but him and Locke doing? Like, Locke says the button is his job. But what else is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jack and Said are trying to figure out what this deal with the hatch is. Locke's assigning number duty. I don't know.
It just seems like later on when he says, like, I don't want to do this, like, somebody else could step up and do this if he really didn't want to. So, but again, like, for the sake of this lovely story with Hurley, we're just gonna go with this.
Yeah.
At least I am.
Yeah, definitely.
In the hole, Michael is doing what he does best and screaming, when suddenly Mr. Echo throws a rope into the hole and he asks them to please climb up. When they hesitate, Ana Lucia appears, saying that she'll shoot them if they don't. After some hemming and hawing and a rock thrown at Sawyer's head, Jid and Michael climb up, and Ana Lucia closes the door, leaving Sawyer alone in the pit.
She's hardcore. She's not messing around here.
She is hardcore. I mean, for all this complaining about lack of women, you know, Ana Lucia is really raising the flag.
Yeah, definitely.
She is a presence.
Yeah.
What is your vibe on Ana Lucia? Like, do you like her or no?
I mean, at this point, I don't know. Throughout this episode, because we don't know her, and obviously we've gotten to know Michael and Jen and Sawyer, I'm just like, can you just chill out a little bit? Like, there's really no need for all this. But then, when I'm thinking that, I'm also thinking, you know, then we get other clues in this episode. Like, something clearly terrible has happened to them that has made her, you know, has made them all so traumatized and has made her act this way in order to protect the people that they have left.
Yeah, I get that feeling too. But then at the same time, I feel like the people around her aren't like that. Like Echo is very polite and kind to them. And Libby is really nice. And Bernard, she's the only one acting this way. So it definitely singles her out.
Yeah.
Even though I do have that same thought as you. Like, what has this girl been through that made her like this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Also, quick side note, at the end of the scene where, I just lost my thought. Oh, at the end of the scene where Ana Lucia, like, throws the top down on Sawyer, and he mutters, like, bitch up at her.
Yes.
That reminded me so much of Spike. I know we've said it 1,000 times,
Oh my
but
God.
I was like, that is such a Spike thing to do.
It is. You're so right. It was such a similar delivery and everything.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I love them both, Sawyer and Spike.
Guys,
God.
if any of you listening to this have not watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I think in like one Instagram poll you took, not many people had.
It was disturbing.
Yes. Please go watch that show. It's so great. It's one of the best.
It will change your life.
It really will. Get through the first season. Keep going. You will be amazed, I promise.
So agreed. We've done a lot to promote Buffy on this podcast. If you're not watching it by now, I don't know what it's going to take.
I'm really disappointed in you guys.
In a flashback, we're right back to where we started, with the moment that Hurley realized he won the lottery. He faints, and then he hides the ticket from his mother. She tells Hurley he needs to lose weight and to change his life. But Hurley says he likes his life, so what if he doesn't want to change? And that's such a good place to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is where it ended last time.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
The scene cut out right when he realized, or I guess it cut out when he fainted, and now we're like starting kind of when he faints.
Yeah, and we get like this whole, I guess, 24 period after he learns he's won the lottery.
Yes, the nice limbo of he knows, but nobody else knows.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this scene. I love Hurley's mom. She's great.
Yes!
As always.
She's wonderful. I love her a lot.
Yeah.
And I like Hurley just being content with his life and not needing more.
Right.
Which makes you wonder why he played the lottery in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, most people do every now and then. But yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a regular thing for him or if he just on a whim did it.
Mm-hmm.
Back on the island, Charlie is interrogating Hurley about the hatch. Hurley seems unsure on what he's supposed to say about the hatch, so he kind of fumbles through some lies that Charlie is quick to catch, asking how dare he lie to him, to the baby! Hurley tells him that he wouldn't lie to him, and Charlie says he lied about being worth $150 million, which Hurley corrects to $156 million. Charlie's annoyed, and he walks away.
I love Charlie so much. He's so funny in this scene.
He is so funny, and I do really enjoy him, but this whole episode, I'm like, you are not a great friend.
Yeah, it's so true, and I don't care, because the way he delivers his lines is so entertaining. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you need to kind of back off, dude, but I just
he's
don't
very aggressive towards Hurley. Like, he's just mad at him this entire episode. It's like, it's Hurley, dude. He's your friend. Calm down.
Right. But yeah, I do like, I mean, I love any scene with Charlie and Hurley, even if Charlie's not being, super great, so.
Yeah. It's just not our best Charlie. He's capable of much better.
True.
He's still funny, but I think he's funny because Dominic Monaghan is funny.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I love him. I love Dominic Monaghan, like I've said many times in this podcast, so he's just, I just enjoy him so much. I don't know.
Yeah. Hurley approaches Rose, who's doing laundry, humming and having a lovely day. Hurley asks why Rose doesn't want to know about the hatch like everyone else does. She says it's his business and it won't help her get the laundry done, so it doesn't matter. Hurley then takes the one person who didn't care to come check out the hatch. Jack appears and he seems annoyed that Hurley told someone about the hatch. Apparently this whole thing is going to be a secret. Good luck with that, guys. So I love this. I love that Hurley goes to the one person who's not pestering him and decides that she should be the one to help him out.
Right. Rose doesn't care about this. She's just living her best island life. She could care less about any of this. But yeah.
Rose's perspective is always just so refreshing. Mm-hmm. She is not like anyone else here. She's not...
There's no drama with her.
There is no drama with her. She is just making her life and making the best of her situation, and she's not complaining. She's not having issues with anyone. Like, does anyone ever have a problem with Rose? I don't think so.
I know. Yeah, not to give away spoilers, but I feel like Rose and Locke should be best friends at this point.
Rose and Locke?
Yeah, they both have the way she has such faith that her husband is okay. They both have such faith in things that most people wouldn't have faith in. You know what I mean?
That's true. They have faith in very different things, though. Like, Locke's faith is tied up in this island and his own specialness. And Rose is like, I don't think Rose has any sort of selfishness about her. Her faith is religious. Like, truly religious.
Yeah, fair point.
But, yeah, they do have similar mentalities in a way. You would think that they would, like, really appreciate each other.
Yeah, I just feel like, in my head, they've had lots of conversations sitting on the beach looking at the ocean. Or maybe not even conversations. They're just sitting in silence, just enjoying each other's company. You know?
Right? They should.
Yeah.
Because they're both pretty happy to be here, too. Unlike most people.
Exactly.
Or at least Rose seems to be. We don't get a ton of insight into what's going on with her, but she seems pretty happy. She's like humming along, and she's just waiting for Bernard to show up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Her little tiny sub-story in this episode makes me so happy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It makes me think of the episode we're going to get about her later, too.
Yes. Time with Rose is always good time.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen her in a while, so...
No, I don't think she's had an episode at all yet.
Yeah, or also I just meant, like, even on the show. I can't even remember, like, her last appearance in an episode.
That's true. I can't either. But I do like that so many times our characters, when they're having a sort of crisis, they're going to Rose. Like, Charlie went to Rose.
Yeah.
And she helped him through. And now Hurley's going to Rose, and she's going to help him.
Yeah, that's very true.
Thanks, Mama Rose. We cut to Claire, who has found the bottle full of family messages from the raft. And that is all that happens. We cut away instantly.
Yep.
In the next scene, Jack explains Hurley's job to him in the hatch pantry. He's supposed to inventory all of the food so that they can ration it out and make it last. No one is going to have anything till then. This is Hurley's responsibility, and he wants Rose to help him. Hurley and Rose get to work and begin to chat about Bernard, Rose's husband. Hurley asks if that was her husband, and she corrects him, saying it is her husband. He was in the back of the plane, and she knows that he's just fine. Hurley confesses his real fear here, saying that everyone's going to hate him after this job. But Rose says he's the only one on this island who everybody loves. Of course, at that moment, Kate walks in wanting shampoo, and Hurley starts to protest, but she just thanks him and leaves. Rose shrugs and tells him it's just one bottle. But Hurley's right. That's just where it starts. Oh, Hurley. What a struggle. This is my daily struggle as a parent.
Oh, really?
People will come over and they'll be like, she can have one piece of candy. And I'm like, no. That you think it's one piece of candy, but that one piece of candy turns into every day at this time I need this candy, and I saw it in this drawer, and now I know where it is. It's just like this whole chain of events that you don't want to deal with. And Hurley's right. Like, if you don't nip it from the beginning, things just spiral out of control so fast.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But then it's like, every now and then It's not gonna kill you.
To just, like, hand out stuff from their rations?
I guess I'm not thinking about that situation specifically. I'm just thinking about in life in general. But, like, has your child ever had a piece of candy in her life? Like,
yes!
Okay.
She has. I think I worry about it more, like, with other people, because I feel like they don't know how to, like, put the proper restrictions on it because if you don't do things a certain way, especially with children, it's just gonna be like this cascading event that you just can't understand until it happens.
Cascading event. That sounds so dark.
Well, like, okay, for example, we're getting a little off topic, but it's relevant. Hurley would agree with me on this, okay? So, I don't want my daughter, who is 1, to drink soda. And a lot of people think it's no big deal, like, it's not going to kill her to have some soda. And I'm like, you're right. But right now, she thinks that all drinks are water. So she doesn't try to, like, take anyone's soda, or she doesn't ask for anything bad for her, because she just thinks everything is water, which is what I want. I want her to just drink water until she's, like, old enough. And so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's so much easier to not open a door versus opening that door and then, like, trying to, like, push you back in every time you want that thing that you shouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? Does this make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
It's like the if you give a mouse a cookie thing. You know that story?
Yeah.
If you give the mouse a cookie, they want a drink of milk. It just goes on and on.
I'm always imagining your daughter, which I hope this doesn't offend you, but I always imagine her being the child who, like, if she goes to school in, like, 10 years, if she hangs out at a friend's house, she's gonna be that kid who's like, ooh, what are those? And it'll be like a bag of potato chips. And I'll be like, oh my God, have you never had a bag of potato chips before?
I don't think I'm as healthy as you think I am.
I disagree, but okay. She'll, like, pass by McDonald's. She'll be like, ooh, what's that? I've never been there before.
That's true. She will not know what McDonald's is.
Yep. I mean, good for her.
And she will be better off for it.
I'm sure. I mean, yeah, I'm just a garbage person who goes there occasionally, I guess. But
wow. Okay.
Anyway, this got wildly off topic, but I can see your point. I can.
I get where Hurley is coming from. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is the way people are. They get an inch and they want a mile.
Yeah.
It's easier to just be like, nope, sorry, this is the rule, this is what it is.
Yep, that's very true.
I encounter that a lot with my business, too. People want more and more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's Kate who does this.
Yeah.
She's just so nonchalant. Like, oh, it's Hurley. No big deal.
Exactly. It'll be fine.
I had the thought, did Jack put Hurley in charge of the food because food is his struggle, just like Locke put Jack in charge of the button because faith is his struggle?
Wow.
Is this like his karmic retribution?
Oh my God. Jack wouldn't do that to Hurley. Although it is funny when you think about it that way. I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting thought.
I doubt he actually did, but
right?
You know, there's a certain ironic parallel thing happening here.
Yeah, most definitely.
We flash back to Hurley working at Mr. Cluck's Chicken Shack, a place that my daughter would never go. His manager, Randy,
of course,
shows him surveillance video from the previous night where Hurley ate 8 pieces of chicken. He claims that Hurley owes the company money, especially for all the costly napkins that he hands out to people. Hurley takes off his hat and hairnet, and he quits. Outside, he's panicking in the parking lot when his friend Johnny comes to support him. He says he quit too, because who needs money when you've got good looks? So, this is the first time that I ever realized Hurley and Locke had the same manager.
You never noticed that before?
No, I had no idea. I was like, wait, his name is Randy too. And then I looked up to see if it was the same character.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Such a good, like, subtle connection.
It is. He's just a jerk in both episodes, so.
Yeah, and we heard earlier that Hurley had bought a box company. So, like, this all just makes so much sense. I just never caught it. Oh, so funny.
Yeah. I admire Hurley for showing up to work after he found out he won the lottery. Like,
yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
If that was me, I would never set foot in my job again.
Yeah, he's really, his life hasn't changed yet. He's just kind of mentally changing.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. It's all very internal right now.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's just so good. I wonder what would have happened if he just made these changes. Like what he does here, where he quits his job, and then later with the girl. If he'd done these things and then, like, never gotten the money. Like, I wonder what would have happened to him.
Yeah.
If his life would have changed for the better because he made these choices.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, you kind of feel like he would never have made those changes if he hadn't won the lottery.
Exactly. It's one of those things that just makes you think, you know? One of those, like, live every day like it's your last,
right,
you know?
Right. It's such good advice, but rarely anyone takes it, and I include myself in that.
Exactly. It's so hard to do.
Yeah.
It's just, it sounds like the best thing you should do.
Right.
But...
Yeah. I swear, every time I talk to my parents, that's what my dad tells me every time. Like, you know, do something different today. Blah, blah, blah. Today could be your last day. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that's great advice. Do I ever do anything about it? No. So...
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I think I try, but it's a struggle.
Yeah.
I'm a planner. I don't like to be spontaneous like this.
Same.
Makes me nervous.
It's scary.
Locke is trekking through the jungle, and he pauses, saying to someone that they can come out now. He knows that they've been following him for a while now, and he's been going in circles. And John Locke does not go in circles by accident. Charlie sheepishly appears and tells Locke that he's tired of all the secrets being kept from him. Locke seems unconcerned and asks Charlie what he wants to know. Which is just so funny, because he's just sitting there eating a piece of fruit. He's like, I'll tell you whatever you want, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this isn't a big deal.
I'm not really here to play these, like, politics.
Right.
I'm here for my button and my island.
Yeah, those are the only two things I care about right now.
And this piece of fruit.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Locke. So weird.
You can tell Charlie was, like, ready to put up a fight, too. And he's like, oh, okay. He's just gonna tell me.
Yeah. He gets so defensive about it. And he's
also very angry in this episode. Yeah. He's just angry with everybody.
Yeah, and he also, when he mentions in this scene, like, he says something along the lines of, I saved Aaron. Like, I saved that baby just a few days ago. It's like, okay, first of all, Saeed was also there. Like, you didn't go out by yourself.
Right, Saeed's the one who actually saved you.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
Yeah, I mean, I still love Charlie, but he's, like, weirdly overdramatic in this episode? I don't know.
I have always viewed Charlie as very immature, and he's just kind of being immature in this episode. Like, he just wants respect, I guess, but it's like nobody's really trying to disrespect him. You know, he is doing something valuable by helping Claire with her baby.
Right, do that. She needs help. Like, calm down.
Right? And that seemed to be like what he wanted to do at some point.
Exactly.
So I don't know why anyone would feel compelled to pull you into this Hatch situation.
Yeah, to me, this is just more examples of the beginning of what they're going to do with Charlie this season, which I am not a fan of at all. So
yeah. Yep. I have things to say later.
Yeah, can we just skip that episode when we get to it, please?
No, we cannot. We'll take the good with the bad. Mr. Echo tosses his rope down to Sawyer, who refuses to climb up until he knows his friends are okay. Michael appears, and so Sawyer comes up. It seems that everyone believes and agrees that they were all passengers on the plane together. Sawyer's thrilled, saying that now they can all sue Oceanic together. Ana Lucia notices a rock in Sawyer's hand and tells him he has 3 seconds to drop it. He doesn't, and she punches him. When he falls down, she stomps on his bullet wound and tells him he has to do what she says when she says it, and if he doesn't like it, he'll go back in the pit. After some sarcasm and resistance, Sawyer agrees, because when someone is that wound tight, you just need to smile and nod. Ana Lucia says that they're headed out, and when Sawyer asks where, she reminds him of what she said. He says sure, but if she hits him again, he will kill her. She smiles and says, let's go.
Oh, they're so funny together.
They are. They're an interesting rivalry,
Yeah.
I guess would be the word.
Yeah.
They're both very aggressive.
That's for sure.
And Ana Lucia clearly has no time for sarcasm or jokes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we have Sawyer here in this storyline with her, because he's a good, like, strong resistance for her. Like, they need someone who would be mouthy to kind of play off of Ana Lucia.
Yeah, to kind of push her buttons.
Yeah, we're getting a strong picture of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that her smiling at the end of the scene is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it's that kind of thing where, you know, he's annoying her, but at the same time, like, that's kind of how she would be in that situation. And I feel like she kind of sees that.
Yeah, it's like a little nod of respect. It's like, okay, you're not just going to sit down and take this abuse that I'm doling out to you constantly.
Exactly. You're not going to roll over. Okay, I appreciate that.
Right.
But roll over.
Yeah. Doesn't mean I think you would get anywhere, but I acknowledge the fact.
Yes. Locke has now explained everything to Charlie, who calls it all a bit nutty. Locke smiles and says that it is what it is. He tells Charlie that there's a record player in the hatch, and Charlie asks about Hurley. When Locke says he's in charge of the food, we quickly cut to Charlie interrogating Hurley about the food. He asks if there's peanut butter. He wants to give it to Claire. But Hurley says no, and Charlie is mad. He says Hurley has become one of them, the management. He says, you've changed, man, and he walks away.
Oh, gosh.
So this is like the third time that Charlie has like accosted someone.
Yep, still being super dramatic. Although, I mean, it is cute that he's asking for peanut butter for Claire. Not himself, for Claire.
Yes, it is. But, you know, at the same time, he's doing that to get himself into Claire's good graces.
Yeah. Well, that was like a special moment they shared together that she might not even remember at this point. She like lost all her memories, so.
Yeah, that's true. I guess maybe she reads it in her diary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Either way, she can. Actually, why would she tell or put that in her diary though?
I feel like she mentioned that though in one episode.
Does she?
Yeah, there's one scene where she's talking to Charlie and she's like, I remember peanut butter.
I remember peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe she didn't write it down, but she definitely remembers it, kind of.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember that now.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good line when that happens.
Yeah, it's so cute.
But yeah, I'm totally Team Hurley here. I'm like, dude, nope, don't give him that peanut butter. As soon as you give her that peanut butter, someone else is going to be like, hey, where's my thing? I want the thing.
Yeah.
It's just a bad road.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope, to be sure.
In a flashback, Hurley is seeing you all, everybody, like the great friend he is. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
When he approaches his pretty friend Starla, who works at the record store. Record store are these things that existed before iPods and iPhones, you guys. I don't know if you know, but, you know, we used to go to stores for music.
Yeah, Google it, guys. It'll be very interesting for you.
It was crazy. Now they're like antique shops.
Oh, gosh. So true. We're so old.
So crazy. Time changes so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Hurley asks Starla out, and she says yes. Johnny is very proud of Hurley, who's had his crush on this girl for months. And Hurley, running into a shelf on his way out the door, says he had to ask her before she finds out that he is loaded.
Mm-hmm.
Which is such a good point. Like, he does need to ask her now to see how she really feels.
Yeah, that's true. It's a cute scene.
It is. Do you feel like you would tell people if you won the lottery?
I feel like I would tell my like closest family members, but I might wait a while to tell other people.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know. It'd be hard.
Yeah.
It would be hard to deal with all the people who would start asking you for stuff,
Yeah.
you know? That would be frustrating.
Yeah, or even the people you would feel obligated to give money to. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I feel like if I had tons of money, there are people and situations where I would just want to help and I would do that. But if somebody asked me or expected me to, I would be annoyed.
Yeah, definitely.
So it might be better as a secret, you know? And then if the situation ever arises, you can just, you know, help out. But
yeah,
it would be really hard to keep that secret.
Yeah, it would.
Especially when people are like, so you don't have a job anymore.
Right.
That's kind of weird.
So you walked into your job and just quit?
Yeah,
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
You haven't had a job in like 6 years.
Yeah.
What's going on? Oh, and I thought it was so funny that he like knocks the shelf as he like leaves. He's just so clumsy.
Yeah.
And it made me think of how in his last episode when he's cursed, anytime something like that would happen, I felt like something really terrible was going to happen. But like here, he just kind of like knocks into the shelf and just keeps going and it's no big deal. And I just wondered if that was on purpose or if we're just like kind of saying, haha, Hurley's clumsy or...
Yeah, maybe both. Like,
yeah.
I take it like from this scene that he is clumsy.
Yeah.
But it's like maybe some of the things he attributed to the cursed numbers were just him being clumsy or, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Saeed and Jack are in the hatch's crawl space. Saeed says that the walls are just as thick down here as they were above them. Saeed believes there's a generator beyond the wall. Jack asks what he thinks about all of this, and Saeed says the last time that he's heard of concrete being poured all over everything like this was in Chernobyl, which, for people like me who have no idea what that is, I had to look that up.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. It's a city in Ukraine that had the most disastrous nuclear accident in history.
Yeah, apparently you can like still go there. I don't know if this is an urban myth or whatever, but you can like take tours and you can see like all kinds of weird deformed animals that still roam around there.
Ooh.
But it's also like really risky and like you could like contract some nuclear disease and potentially die. So it's not fun.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
sounds scary.
Only do it if you're like completely insane, but I've always been like super interested.
I read that people still live there. Is that not true?
Oh.
That so many people tour and think that nobody lives there. They have to put signs on their door saying like somebody actually lives here. Like, don't come in.
I didn't know people still live there. I thought it was like still like uninhabitable.
It seems like it should be.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Interesting.
if this is true or not, but it was in I think I read the Wikipedia or something.
I want to go there. I want to meet those people.
You won't go in this hatch, but you want to go to this city covered in nuclear waste.
Look, it's just really interesting, okay?
Just go visit Pompeii or something,
Yeah,
okay?
okay.
I think it's a lot safer.
Yeah, probably.
Saeed and Jack hear some clinking, and upon investigation, Jack finds that Kate has been using the shower. Girl's got no clothes on, and Jack decides it's a good time to have a conversation. She leaves, telling him that he could use a shower too, which is kind of the opposite of flirting, Kate. And while I know Randy is watching this with stars in her eyes, I'm just wondering where Saeed went off to.
Oh, who cares? This scene is so cute. I love it so much.
I just feel like Saeed should be standing right behind Jack, and that would totally ruin this moment, but he's not there.
Yeah.
We just make him disappear.
Yeah, we don't need Saeed for this, okay? This is a private Jack and Kate moment that's lovely and cute.
It feels so awkward. Like, she's just, like, trying to cover herself up the entire time. Like, her towel's not big enough, and Jack's just standing there staring at her, and she's like, okay, hi.
It is so awkward, and yet I find it so adorable at the same time. Like, the way when he opens that door and he's like, hey, like he doesn't know what to do with himself. Oh, guys, they're just perfect. Why aren't they together? Why?
I don't know. Maybe she doesn't like being watched when she's in the shower.
All right. That's not what happened. Don't even start, okay? Do not ruin this scene for me. Don't do it.
All right. We're just going to keep on going then. But what do you make of the stuff underground, though? With Saeed and the nuclear waste and everything. Does this, like, creep you out, or...?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more alarming things about the hatch, which, again, I feel like I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but interesting that...
Don't go down there.
Yeah, don't go down there. Interesting that Saeed and Jack, of all people, are exploring down there. Saeed, you know, at the beginning of this season wanted nothing to do with his hatch. Jack apparently has some complicated feelings about the hatch, too. You know what I mean? It's like, why is it Locke down there exploring? Why are you two down there exploring?
Because Locke doesn't care what's down there.
But why not? I mean, he's so into this hatch, and he was so into the orientation video. Like, wouldn't he want to know everything about it?
I don't feel like he needs to know the mechanics of it like they do.
Okay.
He's here for, like, the purpose of it and, like, the why. And they just want to know, like, how and what is going on.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like we always get this bad news about creepy, weird stuff happening from Saeed. He's always the one noticing, like, hey, there's like this weird electromagnetic thing. Hey, my compass doesn't work. Hey, guys, this place is weird.
Yes.
Did you not notice?
People should listen to Saeed whenever he says anything slightly bad about anything.
He has good things to say. People just listen to him.
Gosh. Yeah, the very fact that he compares it to Chernobyl is like, no, goodbye. I don't need to be in here ever again.
That's very true.
Oh, God.
A girl named Libby introduces herself to Michael as they're walking. She says that there were 23 of them from the tail end of the plane. Mr. Echo asks Sawyer if he's okay, and he apologizes. Ana Lucia, however, is having none of this friendly banter. They have arrived at wherever they are going. Here turns out to be their very own little hatch. Only there doesn't seem to be much in this hatch, aside from some Dharma logos on the wall and a few more people. But not 23 more people.
Yeah, it's so ominous when she says that about...
It is.
Like how there were 23 and I mean, there's clearly, like 6 or 7 of them in there? It's... Oh.
I know, and it's something about, like, this place being completely empty and dark, and everyone's just kind of, like, hunched around. It feels like they've been through war, you know? Like, something very different happened on this side of the island.
Yeah, and I guess because we're so used to our group who has the benefit of, you know, all the plane wreckage and the fuselage. They've got the caves. They've got showers. Now they have their hatch and they've got, you know, they've built shelters for themselves. This very small group doesn't seem to have any of that. So...
Yeah, that's true. They've just been living a very different existence, and it's really obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm dying to know what their backstory is.
Yeah, definitely. Especially Mr. Echoes, because I feel like the switch we get from him, where he seemed like the scary one, because he was the one who, like, threw him in the pit.
Yeah.
And was, like, he was really the face for a long time. He was the only one that they saw. And now he seems so nice. He's, like, asking Sawyer if he's okay and apologizing for his actions. And you're like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's very interesting.
Definitely.
It's time to check in with the women of Lost Island. Sun is gardening when Claire and Shannon approach to tell her that they found the messages from the raft. They think she should decide what to do. And that's the scene.
Yep. That's all we get.
That's all we get. And this is a big moment for Sun to see these messages and to think something happened to the raft. Something happened to her husband. And we get, like, no time with that. And that frustrates me because that's such a significant moment.
Yeah, I mean, the argument here is they're going to do all of that next week and really give it a lot of time. Because next week's all about Sun and, like, Sun and Jin's backstory.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, yeah, fair point. It's just kind of dropped in really quickly in this episode. So.
Yeah. Maybe this whole storyline should have been saved for next week. Or, I don't know. Because I don't remember exactly what happens next week. I just know that when I was watching this episode, I was like, okay, we're not going to deal with this at all. It was just frustrating.
Yeah. And I was thinking that too, but I was also thinking, oh, they're going to do all of that next week. So.
Yeah. Well, they better do a good job.
Yes, we'll see.
Poor son. Hurley is mad that Locke told Charlie about the hatch, and that they came down here in the first place. He says now everything's going to change, but Locke says change is good, while he continues his weapon inspection.
Okay, Locke.
He's just like sitting there messing with the guns.
Such a weirdo.
Hurley says he's not going to do this job anymore. He doesn't want everyone hating him. Locke says that's Hurley's job, and his is to convince everyone to push a button every 108 minutes without knowing why. He tells him he doesn't get to quit at this. Hurley says okay, and promptly leaves the hatch and finds some more dynamite.
Oh, Hurley. Not a good idea.
Never solve your problems with dynamite.
Yeah.
That's just a good life lesson.
Exactly.
If you learn nothing from this podcast, please
write that down, everyone. Make sure you don't forget.
Thank God we watched Lost and we figured that out.
I know. Otherwise, we'd have no idea.
But yeah, this is the moment where I was like, does this really need to be Hurley's job? He seems really upset.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else could do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Rose would take up the job if he really needed her to.
Yeah, and of course.
She could find some friend to help her out.
Locke says no. There's one line in this scene where Hurley says something about like the cute blonde and her poor island baby, about like giving them peanut butter.
Yes.
There's so many good lines in this episode. Just crack me up. Anyway.
That is a good line because it just shows like he's compelled by things like that. Like he's all heart. He's not like rationality.
Right. He feels bad.
Yeah. And rationally it makes sense to like inventory everything and divide it up equally. But that's a hard thing to do when everyone is like making personal pleas to you. Mm-hmm. We cut to Hurley and Johnny, who have stolen a bunch of garden gnomes and are setting them up on Randy's lawn in the words, "Cluck you." They speed away in Johnny's old van, yelling freedom. Hurley asks Johnny to promise him that no matter what happens, that they never change. Johnny promises and asks Hurley if he can borrow $2. They both laugh for very different reasons.
Yeah.
I love this scene.
Me too. It's a great prank they play on Randy.
Yes, it is. And it's just so fun and nice to see him with his friend and this camaraderie they have. And Johnny is so supportive, like, oh, if you're quitting, I'm quitting. We're just going to do this thing together.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah, it was good.
Hurley is setting up dynamite in the pantry, but Rose walks in. He says he's sorry, but he just can't let this happen again. We cut back to him and Johnny in the van, driving past the gas station where Hurley bought his winning lotto ticket. We get a very quick back and forth of scenes where Hurley is in the hatch pantry and where he's sitting in the van with everyone around him, realizing that he's won the lottery. And Johnny looks very betrayed. In the hatch, Hurley and Rose are arguing, and Hurley says she doesn't get it. This is going to mess everything up. Everyone was fine before they had potato chips, and now everyone is going to want them. Everyone's going to hate him for trying to keep them from him. He says everyone had everything they needed, but now he's just going to be stuck in the middle. Back in his flashback, the reporters and photographers swarm Hurley and block Johnny from his view. And this is a really well done scene. Like, I don't normally like when they jump back and forth really quickly like this, but the way what Hurley is saying to Rose is playing over top of his flashback.
Yeah.
It's very well done. It's very poignant because you see his friend Johnny just looking at him completely differently and not in a good way. Like, he doesn't seem very supportive in this scene. He seems like angry that Hurley didn't tell him.
Yeah. I agree. The way that these two scenes are kind of melded together, it works very well. But when I was watching it this time, I was trying to understand why Hurley's friend Johnny, he looks so betrayed.
Yeah, he does.
When he finds out that Hurley's the one who won the lottery. And, I mean, I can kind of see where he would be a little disappointed that Hurley, I guess, has been lying to him all day. But to me, this is like if that was my friend, I'd be like, this is like the best ending to this day possible. Like, you just won the lottery. This is,
right?
I'm so pumped for you. Like, this is amazing. And
yeah,
I don't know.
I know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I can see him losing Johnny as his friend eventually. But in this very moment, it seems weird to lose him. And it's a beautiful scene. Like, I love the way it's done. And, like, I love the reporters, how they, like, rush towards Hurley and they just completely wall off Johnny.
Right.
And there's just, like, this physical block between the two of them.
Right.
But they're still staring at each other. And it's so well done. But you're right. Like, it doesn't make much sense for Johnny to be, like, this. He looks very upset.
Yeah. He just looks so betrayed. And I mean, you can kind of see why they would do this from a writer's point of view, because it's so much more emotional. Like, that reaction from Johnny is obviously so much more emotional than if he had been, you know, jumping up and down and super excited for Hurley.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I was Johnny, that wouldn't have been my reaction. So.
Yeah. And, well, you can kind of think that, you know, maybe the reason Hurley didn't tell him all day is that he knew he would react that way.
Right. Exactly.
Which is just strange. I don't know. Maybe Johnny's pissed he quit his job and Hurley won the lottery.
I guess.
He's like, I quit my job with you, but I didn't know you won the lottery.
Yeah. But it's like Hurley didn't make him quit his job.
Right.
So, oh man. Yeah, and like you just said, like they had this great day together. They quit their jobs, which they both hated. They got back at their boss. You know, they've been driving around, doing whatever. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the problem is Johnny seems like such a great friend.
Yeah.
And it seems like it would be the people who aren't really your friends who would react this way.
Yeah.
Because I agree with the message we're kind of tossing around here that, you know, like when you have a lot, it's going to separate you from the people who don't. Like there's just a natural separation between those who have and those who don't. Those who decide things and those who don't. And I can see the separation between them happening, but I don't know. How good a friend is Johnny if he lets that happen?
Right, like immediately, too.
Yeah, he immediately goes into like jealousy mode, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's jealousy or not, but maybe. I don't know.
I don't either. Also, I guess we should say thank God that Rose was there to talk Hurley out of this crazy decision to blow up.
That's very true.
I kept thinking when I was watching that scene, like, can you imagine if Locke had walked in instead of Rose and seen Hurley trying to blow up his precious hatch? He would have lost his mind.
Yeah. Hurley would be really upset that Locke had weapons right on hand if that had happened.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Rose is probably the only person who should have walked in.
Yeah. Just calmly explain to him why this is a really bad idea.
Yeah. I think Saeed would keep his head, but pretty much nobody else. Yeah. Hurley tells Jack that there's just not enough food to ration out like he wants. So they're going to do things his way. Surprisingly, Jack says, okay.
That's not surprising. Don't even.
It's surprising to Hurley, all right? We cut to a beautiful montage scene of Hurley bringing the food to everyone on the beach. Even Shannon and Vincent seem to be bonding and having a great time. But most importantly, Charlie has peanut butter for Claire. The two of them share some peanut butter, and it's super adorable. Jack and Kate sit together, and Randy is super excited about that, I'm sure.
Yep. Dying inside, but continue.
And Charlie gives Hurley an enormous hug. But our happy scene is bittersweet as we scan over to Sun, who is burying the bottle of messages from the raft. And I just love this scene. I feel like this scene really sticks with you. It sticks with me. Like, I can always recall this scene.
Yeah, me too. It's one of my favorite montages in all of Lost.
I love that it's just like the way Hurley deals with problems makes everyone happy, you know? Like nobody else has that experience.
Yeah, it is so, yeah, it's just very happy.
It is very happy. And it's just so different from everything else. Every time someone else makes a big decision, someone else seems to be angry about it. But when Hurley does things his way, it's just so like calm and peaceful, and it's just, you know, lovely.
Yeah, it really is. And that the whole thing with Charlie and Claire and their They finally get to share a real jar of peanut butter. It's just perfect. Jack and Kate, of course. It's just, I love it so much.
Yeah, it's sweet. Back with our tailies, a man approaches Michael and asks about Rose. It's Bernard, and Rose was right all along. We cut to Rose holding her wedding ring, smiling, and saving a candy bar for her husband.
This is such a nice moment to end on.
Isn't it? It's so lovely.
It is.
I think it's my favorite thing in the whole episode.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Rose is such a wonderful character who we don't spend much time with, but she's a character who's really clearly drawn, and we know exactly who she is. And I just love that she was right all along. Like, her faith paid off, you know?
Right. Yeah, she's definitely very caring. And just the way, too, that how Bernard asks Michael and Sawyer, like, if they know her, if she's okay. Like, he's clearly expecting to hear the worst. And
yeah, and he's so nervous.
Yeah, and he's so, like...
You can tell how much he cares about her.
Yeah, and he's so grateful to them when they tell him that she's okay. It's just so nice.
I know. Best couple on the island, guys. Definitely Rose and Bernard.
I mean, definitely the couple with the least amount of drama, that's for sure.
But yeah, it's a perfect ending for this episode.
Yeah.
So, what theme does this come to mind from all of this?
Gosh.
Are you thinking of one right now?
Yeah. I just think of them on the spot now.
I think of all of this on the spot. I actually just remember the whole episode perfectly, and that's how I'm able to podcast
Please don't tell me that, because then I'll start to think it's true. Then I'm going to be like,
my whole summary, it's just off the top of my head.
Keep that to yourself, Tiffany, okay? No, I wrote... whenever I take pauses here, I'm just looking at what I wrote, thinking like, this isn't great, but here we go.
Okay.
The theme I wrote is just people handle change differently. And I mean, you could argue that this episode is trying to say that like embracing change is ultimately a good thing. Because, you know, on the island, Hurley, instead of blowing up the hatch, he, you know, makes a decision about the food, wants to change, and everyone loves him for it. And then in his flashbacks, you know, he's trying to prevent change from happening, you know, after he wins the lottery, and it doesn't end well for him. So
yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. That's like, I feel like that's a zoomed out view of like what I was thinking.
Okay.
Because I feel like you're applying that to, you're thinking change in general, and I was thinking like specific change. So mine was what happens to people when they have more than they need.
Okay.
Which is kind of like a change.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they have what they need and then suddenly things change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking that Hurley knows better than like anyone that you don't need more. And sometimes more is what brings out the worst in people. Like, the worst time in his life was after he won the lottery, when he arguably had, like, everything. But, yeah, I feel like those are really similar, even though they don't sound similar at first.
Yeah, I feel like, as always...
You're right, this is all about processing change.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Johnny is viewing Hurley in a new way, and it's just, like, for him, it's kind of a change in perspective.
Yeah, it's just so central to Hurley's story, both on and off the island, so... Yeah, definitely. I mean, he tells his mom in the very beginning, like, he doesn't want to change his life. He likes it. Right, right.
So maybe he shouldn't have played the lottery, but you did. He should just give his ticket to somebody else.
Yeah, it's true.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Is that a thing that the lottery allows? I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
I went with someone who played the numbers in the lottery. I bet 1 million people have played the numbers in the lottery now. We thought it was really cool at the time. Though.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that just once.
So I was reading about this episode, and there was a deleted scene that I thought sounded really interesting, and I would have loved it to be in the episode.
Ooh, okay.
And so, like, it can't really affect our opinion because when it's not in the episode, it's, you know, it's just not part of the story anymore.
Right.
But the deleted scene was Ana Lucia handing out food to all the tailies down in their, like, little bunker situation while Sawyer, Jin, and Michael are there. Which I feel like lends a very maternal perspective to Ana Lucia.
Interesting,
like,
yeah.
Right now, she seems very hard and, like, you can argue that she's being protective of her people, but you can argue a lot of other stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
But this scene, like, of Ana Lucia handing out food to everybody, I feel like that could have been really good at, like, showing that she really cares about them.
Yeah, just, like, a different side to her that we haven't seen just yet.
Yeah. That just would have been nice to see. And I feel like that wouldn't have taken very long either.
Yeah. Huh.
Especially if they'd, like, cut that in the montage with Hurley giving everyone food.
Oh, yeah, with her doing the same thing to her people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that could have been
that's a good point.
Really cool. But, anyhow. Just thought that was a fun fact.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's this episode. Did you have any other thoughts before we wrap it up?
Nope, nothing that I haven't already said. I love this episode. It's so refreshing. I feel like it's got a lot of good lines. It's got some Jack and Kate, which I thoroughly enjoy. So yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not one of, like, my great top Lost episodes, because it's just not what I go to Lost for, but I do like it.
Yeah, it's one I always remember for whatever reason.
True. I remember it too. Like, I knew what I was getting into, and that rarely happens.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know what's going on next week. I remember something about her ring. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
But, all right. So, thanks for listening, friends. We are grateful for you each and every week. Here is the part where we tell you to please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes and wherever else you may be listening to this podcast, but especially on iTunes. You can also support the show and help get us to our first Patreon goal by sending $1 a month or whatever you can afford through our Patreon page. We are just $5 away from super awesome Lost watching parties.
Yay.
So, yay, that will be really fun when we get there. We would still love to hear whether or not you would push the button and why or why not. So call and leave us a quick voicemail at 484-416-LOST for your chance to be on the show. We are excited to hear from you guys. You can also send your thoughts to Freckles and Blondie at thelostpodcast.com, because I know a lot of you are like me and you like to write things down. That will do it for this week. See you next time when we discuss And Found, which is about Sun and Jin, who have all the punny Lost titles.
Of course.
Till then, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randy.
And this has been Freckles and Blondie.